Hello, everybody. My name is Carter Hall. Welcome to another episode of the What Really Happened podcast. I've got another, good friend of mine on the podcast again today. My friend in crime with UFC. His name is Matt Long. How's it going, my man?
Oh, it's going great. Feels good to be here again,
Yeah, I like that sweatshirt. I like that sweater you're wearing too. I like it.
man. Thank you. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, just in time for Christmas time. Are you ready for Christmas?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite holiday. Just the decorations and celebrating Jesus's birthday. It's amazing month.
Yeah, it is. I really love this time of year too, just because it feels like it's kind of busy and hectic at times, but it feels like if you just sit back and enjoy it, there's like a magic in the air kind of feeling, you know? Although, like you said, with the decorations, and I was like, as cliche as it may sound, I always like I like getting like going around looking at night, going to like I got to make it like a point to actually go watch, go look at all the Christmas lights around town or anything like that, and decorations and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite like family hall traditions that we've done almost every year, you know?
Yeah, it's a beautiful time to just look at the outdoor lights and just all the beautiful decorations. Like even like in like malls and just like even convenience stores have like a lot of great decorations set up for Christmas time. It's just a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Um, So, like you said, it's a magical time of the year and everything like that. And, it's just, I always like, that feeling. I still feel like that little kid in me. So it's like, gets excited for Christmas. I don't know why, just that feeling, that time of year, whatever it comes around. But, you know, December tends to be a magical year, not just it's a magical time every year, but this year it's kind of be magical. It's a little more magical because, we've got a big event that's coming on Saturday. Some fireworks are gonna be displayed on December 10th, I think, and I think you know why. I think you know what I'm talking about. We've got UFC 282, and um, man, I'm excited for you this pay per view. Are you looking forward to this pay per view?
Yeah, I think this is a very underrated card in the main card section. It's pretty interesting. We're gonna get a new light heavyweight champion since Yuri Prohaska is vacating it due to an injury to his shoulder, I think,
Oh
which
yeah,
is a very big letdown. But I understand it. I like Yuri Prohaska, and when I heard that he had to vacate his title, I was bummed about it because I wanted to be a long term champion, of course.
yeah, really devastating news. When I heard about that too earlier, I was like, that's pretty sad because like he technically, I think in the eyes of the viewer of like MMA fans or UFC fans, he's still a champion even though he's vacated the title due to an injury, he never truly lost it. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's really devastating because it's always tough one to see an athlete go down to an injury, but two watch an athlete go down to an injury who was a champion. You know, so it makes it's like really putting salt on the wound a little bit. So it's just kind of crazy. I think it's sad. I think it's kind of sad to hear the news. When it broke. But what do you? I guess I said UFC 282. I was kind of looking at the card earlier, and there's some pretty big fights going on. We always talk about this about every pay per view, how there's always big fights going on and anything like that. But um, is there any prelim fights or you're excited for, or main card fights, or like early main card fights you're looking for? Looking
We
forward
can
to?
get to the prelims. How about the newcomer Rosas Jr.? He's making his
Yeah,
UFC debut in the prelims.
yeah, that's pretty exciting too. I mean, what are you looking forward to out of him?
Just just how his debute's gonna go, man. Just the way that he fights. Like we saw it like in the Contender Series, how
Yeah,
he's been doing it this whole time, and now his time is finally coming. And like I read an article that I think this is every UFC fighter's dream to become a champion, but he wants to be the youngest UFC champion of the world. He's only 20 years old right now.
yeah, super young too, coming into the game too. I mean, he's got like with a debut coming in. If you're really young, and I think if you make a big name and like big name, like how can I say this? The younger you are, and if you make the bigger the impact, you can really set yourself up pretty big in the UFC. I think because it feels like we saw it with. It's really rare, not hard to do. I'm gonna say this. We've seen big names like young people come in and big names make cannot speak today. I'm sorry. Make their names big for themselves. Early on, relatively early on, we saw it with Conor McGregor, who started off early, made a big impact, and he just had a big following since day one. And then people like that, you had, Ronda, of course, all those people who are still like this. But he said too, but the difference between I think them and these people is that they didn't. I don't know if they ever had the Contender Series, did they, or anything like that? These kind of came onto the scene and made a big impact.
Yeah, I think you're right because I don't remember seeing like Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey in the Contender Series. I do remember like Sean O'Malley, of course, and
Yeah,
uh, I think Tony Ferguson was even in the Contender Series too.
yeah,
No, wait, that was Ultimate Fighter for Tony Ferguson. Never mind.
yeah. Yeah, there was a Nate Diaz within the Ultimate Fighter too. He won that, I
Yeah, him
believe.
too.
Yeah, he won the Ultimate Fighter years back, and he came in and like,
Usman.
yeah. So it feels like if you get your platform off like that, like if you're off the Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter, if you make a name like that and you win one of those things, like if you win, okay, let me back up. So if you win like the Ultimate Fighter, like Nate Diaz or Tony Ferguson have, that just feels like that you set yourself up for even more success coming into the scene in the UFC because you've dominated the contender, the ultimate fight. You're the ultimate fighter, and you come on, and then it feels like you get a jetpack, boom, straight to success. We saw it with Nate, we saw it with Tony, so it's doable. And if I think, let me ask you this: between the Ultimate Fighter series and the the contender series, for people who are trying to get a contract, they're two different things, but does one mean would in your head would one mean more to the other, you think? Would one mean winning or would winning one mean more to the other?
Um, that's a tough question because the Ultimate Fighter, you're actually being uh, trained or coached by a actual UFC fighter that's in the game. Like our last Ultimate Fighter was, or the coaches were Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena, and
Yeah.
then there was another one with Alex Volkanovski, who's the pound for pound fighter right now, and Brian Ortega.
Yeah. Those are some great coaches though to have in your corner. It feels like if you're the ultimate fighter, it feels like if you have coaches like that, like who are big name guys, and those are your coaches, it feels like you're just gonna elevate the game even more a little bit. It feels like you want to go. Not that these people don't want to train. Obviously, their job is to go in and beat someone's face up that you're living. But if you have a big name coach, whatever, you're just going to up the competition a little bit more. So if, I feel like the Ultimate Fighter, I feel like has a bit adds a little bit more padding and motivation, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, like you have like an actual UFC fighter that's trying to motivate you to do your job and to like get you in the right mindset and right place to where you can be that next superstar.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely could see that too. Um, do you have a favorite like coaching pair or favorite coach who's been on the Ultimate Fighter that you're like, oh wow, this person was like a big surprise, or this person maybe not a surprise, but was like a big like, oh, this is he. Of course, he would be a coach.
I think when Tony Ferguson won the Ultimate Fighter, I
Yeah,
think Chuck Liddell was his
yeah,
coach.
that's kind of crazy. Chuck
So that
Liddell's
one
been,
was a good one.
yeah, Chuck's been in the game for a minute. Like, I don't think people really realize like UFC's was big then when Chuck was in like fighting, but I feel like it's even bigger now. So what he did, I think to help lay the groundwork and the foundation of what UFC is. people tend to forget like his great matches he had back in the day. Like he was like Chuck Liddell was like a beast back in the day. When people heard like the Iceman coming to come fight somebody in Octagon, it was like uh old like Coliseum fights from back centuries past. That's what almost it was like almost. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you
you're
have a
definitely right on that.
yeah? So do you have a so we're kind of talking about Ultimate Fighter and all that and everything before, but um, so like you said too, like that guy who's coming up the prelims to make his UFC debut, I felt like that's a big compliment to be fighting on the prelims. I think early on, at 20 years old, because I'm 25 now, and I can only imagine 20 years old coming in to fight someone, you know, who's been training to rearrange my face, because there's no way at 20 years old I'm going to go train to do that.
Yeah, we're still waiting on Bo Nickel
Yeah,
to get a fight in the UFC. He was supposed to make his debut, but you sent me that article before on
yeah,
social media, and when I saw it, I was like, dang, I was looking forward to seeing this kid fight. So I guess we're gonna have to wait till 2023 to see who he matches up with in his debut.
yeah, for sure. I felt like, since that article about Bo Nickel, because Bo, whenever so I graduated high school back in 2016, and I wrestled in high school. And when I was wrestling in high school, Bo Nickel was like a phenomenal collegiate wrestler. He was like it's really hard to determine. Like it's really hard to say, but like at that time, whenever I was in high school watching Bo Nickel, he was easily the top three, top five best collegiate wrestlers in the nation. There's him, Jordan Burroughs, um, David Taylor from Penn State. There's all these fascinating wrestlers to watch. Like it was like a name, like a name, like name a name, whatever. That's great wrestlers to watch. And watching Bo Nickel, go to the Contender Series and anything like that, and when he submitted a few people, knocked out, all these different people. The fact that he's like you see a wrestler going in and submitting people, it feels like he really cares about this. And the fact that we're gonna
Oh
watch him,
yeah,
go ahead. So the fact that we're gonna watch him, it just stinks because it feels like I really wanted him as a big fan of Bo Nickel because I've been wanting to watch him fight for a while, like not in the Contender Series, but like actual UFC. He earned a contract. It just stinks that we're gonna have to wait until 2023 to watch him fight. But when 23 comes around, I think I'm really excited to watch him fight finally. What about you? Are you pretty excited to watch him fight or no?
yeah, I am. And do you know what college he came out of? Was it Penn State too, or
Dude, see, so David Taylor was Penn State, and then Jordan Burroughs was Nebraska, I believe. I think that's right. Let me look this up. But I think I want to say it was Penn State too. He was a
Penn State
national
has some
champ.
really good wrestlers?
Yeah, that's like, um, that's like Iowa, Penn State, and Nebraska are like the three best, I think, colleges for like that have really great wrestling programs.
Really, I thought Missouri would be a good one too.
They are there. I forgot about them. They're a really good one too. Them OSU is good.
Yeah,
Daniel Cormier came out of DC, came out of there.
I thought so.
Yeah,
And Michael Chandler came out of Missouri, I think.
yeah. National. I think he. I don't know if he ever won a national. I think he might have won a national championship there too, or came close. I believe. I could be
Maybe.
wrong. I could be smoking or talking on my butt about that, but I could be completely wrong.
I think Tyron Woodley too was in Missouri.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to pull it up. I'm sorry. What college he went to? Yeah, he went to Penn State. Bo Nickel.
Yes.
Yes, I think that sounds right, but I just want to make sure. Um, so, yeah, that was crazy though. Watching all those guys compete, like Missouri had a great wrestling program, or still does today. Iowa, OSU, all those guys have like great wrestling programs. And if you find yourself a great wrestler out of like a great wrestling program, it's really going to be, I think, they're going to be bar none, like one of the best combat people. You know, like when it comes to combat sports, they're going to be transitioned pretty well, I think. But yeah, is there any other prelims that you think you're kind of looking forward to, or was this that one?
I think it was just that one. I haven't actually looked at the whole entire prelim card just yet, but I can get back to you.
No problem.
Um, like going to the UFC like website and checking it out because like we're only what was it? Today is Thursday, so yeah, we're only 2 days away from
Yeah,
like the actual thing, so nothing should change
not really.
really.
No, I think it's pretty much signed so delivered like right at this point because we're only the only thing I think something should change if it's super drastic. Because I think on the main card, I think there's only two fights that have been canceled. It's Glover Teixeira's fight and the other one that have been
Robbie
canceled.
Lawler.
Yeah, it's I think the only two I think things that have changed recently that I've heard of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about the Robbie Lawler one.
yeah, Robbie Lawler. I mean, I was looking forward to that fight too a little bit until I heard it was canceled. I mean, was that a fight that you were kind of looking forward to, or also?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was looking forward to him like rebounding from his UFC 276 loss, I think. 276. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're at 82 right now, 282. So it was 276 when he lost to Brian Barberena.
yeah,
And I had Robbie winning that one, and he was doing good. And then he got hit with some really good elbows by Barberena. And then next thing you know, it was done. Robbie couldn't really see straight. He was wobbly, and like, he just couldn't stand correctly. He was pinned against the cage most of the time.
yeah. I remember that fight when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, it was way back. It was way not way back, but 276. That's kind of a few like a little while back. But like you said, he lost that fight, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, hopefully Robbie comes back, and what I was hoping is he came back and like let this fight be a rebound fight. Like you said, let him get back on his feet. Because it feels like in UFC or MMA, if you lose a fight, it feels like I could be completely wrong in saying this. Tell me if I'm wrong, Matt, but it feels like if you lose a fight, especially for big name, if you're a big name guy like Robbie Lawler or anybody at that status or level, it feels like you kind of need a fight to win to actually have that like okay, I have that sigh of relief like okay, I got that fight out of the way. I won. Okay, now let's keep going back. Let's keep moving forward. Okay, let's. I won if I lost the fight. I won. I redeemed myself. I won. Now let's keep trucking along. Let's get back up. I want to get this title fight again. But I could be completely wrong in saying that. What do you think?
I completely agree. And then when you lose, like it's just like it takes like I don't know. It just seems like it takes away some of your motivation when you lose like a big time fight or like let's just say like you're fighting a title fight. You lose that one, and then your next fight you're trying to get back up there, and then you just keep losing and losing and losing, and it just gets tough.
Yeah,
Like we see guys like Tony Ferguson that went through that phase. Dominic Reyes
yeah,
sadly went is going through that phase now, losing to John Jones and then having a five or four fight losing streak. He lost to Ryan Spann. It's like Reyes wasn't even prepared for that fight mentally.
yeah. You could, yeah. Those are some big losses too to have. I think it feels like you said, like the John Jones and anything like that. It's just like you said, like it feels like it's a motivation for you to win. Like if like once you win, it's a big motivation. It's like a sort of adrenaline, if it makes any sense. It's like, okay, I won that fight. Let's keep going forward. Because it feels like obviously you're not going into the octagon to lose. I mean,
No,
obviously, but once you lose in front of like, if you're like the MGM Grand or you know, in Madison Square Garden or anything like that, big places like that or anywhere Staples, or that's not called Staples Centers anymore, but um stuff like that. If once you lose in like a big crowd like that, it's like okay, yeah, okay, yeah, the initial sting of losing stinks. That's okay. You gotta have short term memory, and then okay, boom, straight back to training. What's next? I need to win this next fight, and if you win, that's like you said, it helps out so much better in the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like losing in Vegas or Madison Square Garden sucks. That's exactly where Reyes got KO'd
Yeah,
horribly in Madison Square Garden, and then it's not only in Vegas, just any main event fight. Like, look what happened to Usman against Edwards.
I know. That's gotta be. I was watching. So me, I'm obviously a big Joe Rogan fan, obviously. So I watch his podcast all the time. So I watched the one with Sean O'Malley he had recently. Excuse me. So so he was talking had Sean O'Malley on. I was watching that podcast and I was like, man, Joe Rogan was talking about how during that Leon Edwards and Usman fight, uh, John Anik had this great call. And he's talking about how whenever, like literally millisecond, a second or millisecond before Edwards, throws that kick and knocks out Usman, John Anik just they're all talking about how Leon Edwards, it's not like in his cloth to go down, just lose, lay down and lose. And literally a second later, boom, Edwards kicks Usman, goes for a KO in front of everybody unexpectedly. And Edwards' life has changed forever. I mean, do you know of like other than that fight? Obviously, we talked about it on a podcast before a couple times, but is there any other fights that you could think of that are like high level, high risk, or maybe just high level that are like, okay, this person's expected to win and they end up losing that you're like so stalked at?
I think I remember a couple that were supposed to win but ended up losing. Trying to think. Oh, the Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa fight, man.
Yeah,
I thought Derek Lewis was gonna win that, even though Tai Tuivasa is a very good fighter. I really thought Derek Lewis, as the veteran he is, I thought he was gonna KO Tai Tuivasa, but it was the other way
yeah,
around.
yeah. That was a crazy fight too. And speaking of Derek Lewis, I had another fight in mind, but when you said Derek Lewis, that was a crazy fight too. Excuse me. One that came to mind when you said Derek Lewis was in Houston, Texas, in Derek's hometown at the Toyota Center. He lost to Cyril Gahn, and
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, that's one. I was like, that one. That if everybody remembers correctly, watching this, Sarah Gone and Derek Lewis were fighting for a title slot at Francis Ngannou's fight title, So that was like Matt set it up, and it was in Derek's hometown, and you would thought it was going to be like the storybook ending kind of thing. Well, not ending, but like just the movie type, scene. You would think where Derek goes into his hometown and wins, and Cyril Gahn ends up beating him. I was like, oh man, that's not what I thought was going to happen at all. Like you said too, that's how UFC and sports go sometimes.
Yeah, that's the way that I thought too, man. Like I didn't expect that at all. I thought Lewis was gonna like connect on Gaun's chin, and then it would have been lights out. That's exactly what I thought was gonna happen, but no, it didn't.
Yeah. Was there another fight that I was thinking of before that was uh real easy to go to, probably cop out answer to go to is probably Conor McGregor and Khabib. You know, I'm kind of in a way because everybody was talking about how Khabib or Conor was going to be Khabib, but obviously I think everybody kind of was riding that Conor McGregor train, fan train a little bit. But I don't know. That fight going into it, I really didn't know who was going to win. Like I watch it on YouTube every now and then. I throw it on, and watch it, and I was like, man, there's just so many like different things. I'm like, oh my god, it feels like I get goosebumps sometimes watching it back. I'm like, those are fights that like that's one fight in particular. Like it could have gone either way, you know?
Yeah, those were the good ones. There was another one that I had in mind.
So
UFC 269
yeah,
with Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena first
yeah,
fight. It has to be.
yeah. Who are you pulling for in that fight?
I had Nunes easily, man. I was like, Nunes is about to wipe the floor with Pena. And then next thing I know, I see Pena touching up Nunes. I was like, oh my God, like this is really happening.
Yeah, sometimes I felt like in like I watch some like fights like that. I'm like, oh yeah, this person that they're done. Like they got the bags done. They're ready. This fight's no problem for them. And then it ends up being the other person like completely going in like demolishing. I'm like, what? That's why I'm. That's probably a great thing I'm not a betting man because I'd be broke completely because I'm like all my money I do have would be like out the window. Like I remember watching Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone, and that fight was like it ended in the first round. If you remember that fight, if anybody remembers that fight, I have a feeling you do too, Matt. But if anybody just to help refresh anybody, Conor, I kind of expected Cowboy to go in there and kind of make. Sorry, I expected Cowboy to go into that fight and like kind of out wrestle, out grapple Conor. But Connor's coming back, I guess, from something. I could be wrong in this. He's coming back from an injury, I believe. I'm not
No,
certain.
Connor was just coming back from the fight against Khabib. Like he had to like refocus his mind. Like
Yeah,
he didn't fight in 2019 at all.
no,
He came back in 2020 after that loss against Khabib.
yeah, and then I kind of expected Connor or Cowboy, excuse me, rather to come back and win. Obviously, because I remember Connor had gone for something. He was left for quite some time, for something, and so I was like, Cowboy is one of those people who can fight on Saturday, December 10th, for example, and come back and rest and fight the 17th. December 7th. He's one of those people who could just, yeah, sign me up, sign me up. I'll go fight anybody, like, no matter what. And he came into that fight and Connor murked him completely with a head kick. He had him with the shoulders, like remember they were in the clinch and Connor kind of threw in some elbows or some shoulders, I think rather. And that's kind of what I think stuff Connor or Cowboys knows. It kind of broke it. It's kind of hard for him to breathe.
Yeah.
When I always say this, if you're fighting and you see someone like in a fight, like get their nose broken or messed up, and you see blood just gushing out, that's going to be harder for that
Uh,
guy because they have to mouth breathe for the rest of the fight. Now they've got next to no air coming in, and that's exactly what happened to Cowboy, and the rest is history. Connor just gone on top and mounted and just wailing Cowboy, and I think Herb Dean was refing that fight, and just he stepped
yeah.
in. It just like, oh yeah, that's it. In the first round, I was shocked at that when watching that live.
Yeah, I watched that live too. I was actually at Buffalo Wild Wings when that happened. Like I was just getting out of work from Lids, and then I went to Buffalo Wild Wings to meet a couple of my buddies, and then sure enough, the main card was on. Like the whole main card throughout the first fight, like the first fight throughout the main event, of course, with Connor and Cowboy. That was a
Yeah.
thing of beauty to watch with the shoulder strikes, by the way.
Yeah, I never would have thought that if I was in that. I never would have thought that I would use the shoulders as a weapon. Connor is, I guess, one of the best strikers we've seen recently. I guess most impactful strikers I think we've seen, and he used those shoulders like, and I never would have thought like in the clinch to use your shoulders. Because it was like me, I know it's not the same, nowhere near the same, being a high school wrestler and UFC fighter, but when you're in the clinch, you're thinking, okay, I need to get over under or underhooks or do something. Connor just went in there in the clinch and just like threw a couple shoulders and just boom, you see all the red just stuff coming out of Connor or out of Cowboy rather. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
done. This is done, dude. But yeah, so that's what I remember. But yeah, I also remember to kind of go back in that pay-per-view a little bit. One fight I was kind of surprised about was Holly Holm, I think beating
Raquel Pennington.
yeah, Raquel Pennington. And I was like, I was kind of pulling for Raquel a little bit. I don't know why. It just was like hopefully Raquel wins this because I felt like everybody. I guess everybody. I don't know why. I felt like I just felt like I don't know why it's just for pulling for Raquel. I don't know why. At that time, I was like, yeah, well, I'm kind of. I don't mind either way, but I just want to see a new champion other than Holly Holm at that point, you know. But that was a crazy fight too. I kind of remember thinking back on it now.
Yeah, it was just like a 3-round co-main event. It wasn't a title fight. It was just to get them out there. Like there was no title fights at all in that card, of course.
It's
Like it
kind
was
of
just a return.
yeah, it's kind of crazy because we don't. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, Matt. But it feels like it's been a minute since we've seen a full card like prelims or not that they would have these on prelim fights, but or main cards where we don't really see a whole lot of non-title fights. Really, is there?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I can't
There's
remember the
only
last one.
been I think the last one was 272 with Kobe Covington and Masvidal.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight. Was that the? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think that was a crazy fight too. But with 282 this Saturday. You said too. There's on the main card. There's two fights that have already been canceled and anything like that. One due to injury. But is there any other fights you're looking forward to on the main card that are piquing your interest a lot?
Um, the return of Darren Till fighting Dricus Duplessis, and then of course Paddy the Baddy coming back, but not fighting in London. He's actually going to be fighting it on a pay-per-view, which is huge
Yeah,
for Paddy.
for sure. I think that's going to be a big stepping stone for Patty. Um, Patty's a co-main event, I believe, in this fight, right?
Yes.
So that's just crazy. To finally see Patty in a co-main event. Excuse me. But yeah, like I said, it's crazy to see Patty come from where he came from to actually be in a co-main event now. He's the number one, like in his weight class now, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before we see him with a title. That's just my opinion, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very huge deal.
Yeah,
Like for Paddy the Baddy being in the co-main because he used to be on just a regular fight night. He was debuting in the Apex first, and then he had 2 fights in the O2 Arena for fight night in London, and
yeah,
having to be on the actual big time pay-per-view is a huge deal for Patty, and then also co-maining, that's also another big deal because you had rising stars that were co-maining, like Sean O'Malley and, of course, Conor McGregor co-mained a fight before, and then,
yeah,
I think Nate Diaz also
yeah,
did a co-main fight too.
yeah. This is crazy. I mean, going from the O2 Arena, which is a big place, especially for anybody, but watching Patty go from you know just a fight night all the way to O2 Arena to raise that now in the co-main. It's just been a journey for I think him, but like you said too. Man, that's going to be a crazy fight. Do you think Patty's winning that fight?
I think he will.
Yeah. Do you think it's going the distance or no?
He's had finishes on all 3 of his fights so far. So I expect another finish, either the first or second round. It's gonna be a 3-round fight, so either first round or second round. I'm calling it.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that. And you said those are you said he said I'm sorry, you said it and we started talking about Patty the Batty. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. You said someone's returning, right? I mean, you said Darren Till?
Darren Till, yes.
Yeah. Sorry. You said it and I was like so focused in on my next question. I'm sorry. Um so Darren Till, that's pretty exciting too, I guess what do you what okay, how can I word this? What makes you excited for this return?
I mean, it's just seeing a former title challenger coming back to the octagon and fighting again. Like just we haven't seen him fight since last year. against Derek Brunson in Apex, who which he lost to Derek Brunson, of course, because well, Brunson is a wrestler, and sometimes when you fight a wrestler, the wrestler chooses whether they take it to the ground or whether they take it to the stand up. And well, Darren Till, I don't think he's that much of a wrestler, so it just it's kind of painful to watch him struggle that way. Before Derek Brunson, it was I think it was Robert Whitaker
Yeah,
who was the fight before Brunson, and then Masvidal. So all three guys were really good.
for sure. Three great guys, but you said too, it's like a wrestler, the wrestler really determines if it goes to the ground or not, I think you said Darren's, no, I'm not sure if he's a really big grappler or wrestler or anything like that, but um I'm still looking, he's still got power though, I believe. He's still one of those guys you still need to look out for, regardless. Um, who do you have winning this fight?
Um, Man, that's a tough one because the guy that he's fighting is no slouch. Dracus Duplessis is a rising star, and he has some knockout power, and like he's a very good fighter.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm kind of if you're in the UFC, I'm assuming you're not any slouch. You deserve to be in that spot, But I'm really looking forward to those fights too. Darren Till got Patty the Batty. Is there any other fights that you're kind of stoked to look for, or you're kind of waiting to see how it goes, or anything like that?
And then of course the main event, the
Yeah,
final fight of the night, of course, uh, Jan Bohovic and Magomed Ankalaev
yeah,
for the vacant light heavyweight title.
yeah. What do you expect? What are your expectations for that fight?
I just I expect two contenders to battle it out in the octagon, like trading blows, or just trading shots in general. Jan, on the other hand, he can't be afraid to let his hands go because Magomed Ankalaev has some really good reach, and
Yeah,
he has been on a terror on his fights lately.
for sure. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to this too. The for the vacant light heavyweight title. Because I'm trying to think. This is crazy. The fact that there's been a vacant light heavyweight title, but you know, every time I think of the light heavyweight title, I think of easily John Jones. But that's just me thinking that. But just I'm looking forward to the main event too. To crown a new champion to see how it goes. I'm always looking forward to the title events, obviously, but you know, uh, yeah, this main card looks pretty stacked, pretty good. You got some solid fights around. Um, yeah, I'm excited for this. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. ADD. I'm sorry, but yeah. So, is there any other news that you've heard of recently that you're like, oh, this is pretty exciting in the road of MMA?
Um, that's all I've known. I know the next pay per view is in Brazil, and I think the headliner for UFC 283 in 2023 will be the fourth fight between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno.
Well, that would be a pretty exciting fight with Brandon Moreno. And I always like watching him fight. He's pretty exciting, dude. He's been this really cool guy I've been watching for a little bit. He's exciting to watch. I don't know why. I like watching him fight. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites in the
Yeah,
flyweight. Easy tops, man.
yeah. Do you think with 283 or sometime in 2023 early, do you think we're gonna see John Jones come back at all? Like early in 2023, or where do you think in your opinion he's gonna come back and fight? Summertime, early?
I'm predicting UFC 285
Yeah,
early. UFC 286 will be in London, so expect Leon Edwards and Usman 3 to happen in that one.
yeah.
And then Hamzat Chimaev supposed to be in that conversation as well.
Oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy card. That's so crazy. looking forward to that one too. Excuse me. So sorry, excuse me. But yeah, that's so cool. I mean, looking forward to so much. The first like we got some good fights coming up. We got a good pay-per-view to wrap up the year too. I think I could be wrong, but I think it's we got Patty the Batty. We got. I bet you $1. Sometime throughout the fight, you're gonna be hearing that song that people sing. It's like Patty the Batty. I bet how many times I bet I'm gonna be we're gonna be hearing that whole song throughout the whole match. I think
I think so too, and then it's just gonna give Patty the Batty momentum to win the fight and like take control of the fight. Even Patty, he's a very underrated wrestler too. Like he has submitted two guys in
yeah,
the ground game in his last two fights, so don't be surprised if he gets another.
yeah. I won't be surprised at all. But yeah, looking forward to that fight and looking forward to. There's so many fights I'm looking forward to. Hopefully some have not even been confirmed yet, but I'm hoping that they are confirmed just because I couldn't. Just a big UFC fan. But yeah, Matt, thank you for coming on, dude. I had a lot of fun. I always like enjoy talking about UFC with you, dude.
Oh yeah, me too. And then we talk about like what happened after the pay-per-view, and it's just amazing feeling to discuss that with you. And I look forward to UFC 283 and a lot more events coming in 2023.
Yeah, for sure, man. When 2023 comes around, which is about a month away, which is crazy to think it's like half a month away. But when more UFC pay-per-views come out, we obviously got to do some more podcasts if you're down for that,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to try to do every single pay-per-view one that we can do.
for sure. I'm looking forward to that too, obviously. Thank you for coming in. Always it's always a pleasure talking UFC and UFC news and stuff like fanboying out or anything like that. But at least on my end, at least. But thank you again, Matt, and thank you to everybody listening. So, hope you have a great Christmas, dude.
Yeah, you too. God bless you, brother.
Okay, see you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.